Episode 174, special edition tonight, Monday Night Live. I've been in search of awesome. Week or so ago, we were talking about FaceTime Virtual digital consultations. It's almost like the pre-consultation before the consultation, and lo and behold, Sharon Bondar comes into my life. She is a warrior at large. She's going to be talking about the anatomy of of a FaceTime consultation, and she found a little beautiful little niche called Corrective color that she does surgical strikes in, where she's using FaceTime. She is the Summit Salon owner of House of Blonde, Arlington Heights, Illinois. Her coach is Britta Larson. Britta's on tonight. Give it up for Britta, would you guys? I really appreciate it. Sales history is wonderful. Like every year, she continues to up her game another 50. She's probably trending another 75 this year. She's blowing it up with new and referrals are double digit, rebooking 65%. So she's hitting it on all cylinders. But we're also going to get her talking about how she's using FaceTime consultations behind the chair. She's behind the chair 4 days a week. Level 4 AA, 50 something. Average service day is in or around $1,000-ish. Average service ticket is 175, where by her salon's average ticket, I think it's like 105, 110. So she's really leveled up. When you look at her, what she charges for a haircut, that's a service ticket that's 3 times the haircut. So she really has found, I think, an extraordinary niche. Referrals are trending at about 36, rebook 84%, and her RTS is just this side of 18 points, so she's crushing it. We're going to, she's going to tell you about her story, as we need the inspiration, we need the vision, but graduates from high school in the 80s, graduates from hair school in the 90s, does a home-based version of House of Blonde in 07. Levels up in 2010, goes to Summit somewhere in there, and starts a relationship with Britta, and her life started changing. And like I said, she's trending to do $150,000 more this year than last year. So she's blowing it up big time. I would suggest I'm going to show you a little bit about her Instagram page tonight. If you follow her at House of Blonde, you're going to love what she does. She is a salon owner that uses the salon's page to both brand the salon, and all of her content goes exclusively on that page, which I think is just brilliant. Has just over 1,000 followers. The overwhelming majority of her guests follow on Insta, and again, most of her referrals somewhere in there. The social media is the source. So she's in a green room. We're going to get her talking a little bit about her story, then we're going to bring her on and talk about digital virtual consultation. So let's go back there now. Keep your fingers crossed that the Wi-Fi gods are behaving themselves, and let's see if we can bring. And there she is, you guys. Why don't you give it up for her? Good evening.
Good evening.
Did you hear me bragging on you when you were in the green room?
I appreciate it. I wasn't sure who you were talking about.
Britta Larson's on tonight watching, and she's cheering you on, sending you lots of love, as in Sharon Kunkel as well.
Thank you.
Well, listen, Sharon, first of all, thanks for coming on. And we always like to get the conversation going. The inspiration piece, the motivational, the spiritual piece, the who you were before you are now, that's really important to us. So tell us what your life was like back then, what inspired you to get into the game, and then we'll go from there.
Well, things were a little rough. I always say I went to beauty school, not business school, which was something that was really obvious to me about 2 days into the adventure. I had to hire staff and look at taxes and stuff that I just wasn't prepared for. I'm a hairdresser, and I love doing hair, and I just wanted to bring that to the world. So it got a little messy when I realized how hard that was.
Yeah, and it sounds like as you started pursuing that, it got mostly, continued to get messy emotionally, and then something happened to you. You go to Summit 2010, and that was the beginning of the pivot. Tell us about that.
So we went to Summit in 2010. I had a business partner at the time, and we went to Tampa, and I pretty much cried through the whole thing. Because it was hitting on many levels. I saw you speak there, and so it was really powerful. to know that there was a solution that involved more than me just coming up with ideas. We originally hired all our staff at 50% commission. So I was going down fast.
Yeah, and then, as that was happening, you're on a spiral downward, and the pain of it got intense, and then somewhere in there you meet Britta Larson, your coach.
Yeah, so what had happened is through just ignoring my business and being a hairdresser, I didn't really realize what was going on in my business. And I soon realized that I was in big trouble financially. My business partner had done some unethical business practices, and we were in big trouble. So I went to Summit and Redken and begged for help, threw myself at the mercy of people much smarter than me. And graciously, Summit gave me and introduced me to Britta Larson, and we become great friends. She's a great mentor for me and a coach. And here we are 4 years later, and things are going really great.
When you and I were chatting about it, it was, Britta's style is let's look in the mirror, let's name it, let's claim it, let's tame it. Let's, get focused on some best practices and, way more action taking and less thinking. And it's just been glorious to watch your evolution over the years. You've come a long way, and now you're in a place that's almost diametrically opposite where you were. And what we're all curious about is, how has this changed you? How has it changed your business? What's your life like today, and how is it different than it was back then?
Well, I'm a service provider behind the chair, and the big news there is I pay myself as a service provider. I get my tips and I get commission. So I feel that the work that I do is very fair. I'm building wealth in my family and in my company. I have savings, a retirement fund, sending my daughter to private school. It's very rewarding, very rewarding. My company is growing. The people who work for me are growing. And every year they all make more money, and that's a beautiful thing.
You're a vision of what's possible. So where does Sharon and House of Blonde go from here? Where do you see yourself going in the next 1, 2, or 3 years?
Well, we continue to hire associates and train. I'm a firm believer in the associate program. We train very rigorously because we are based in chemicals. And we do a lot of hair colors, so our training is intense. And I do believe that I'm growing the future. I am not the future of my company. That's a tough thing to know. And once you realize it, it kind of sets you free, because then you're just focused on growing and helping other young women achieve their dream. And so we do that.
Yeah. Now, Sharon, there's people watching tonight, and there's going to be a lot of people watching over the next few days, and this is going to live on my Facebook page, the YouTube pages, and Instagram TV. And as people are looking at you, listening to you, watching you, first and foremost, they're identifying. They're identifying with your story. They're identifying with you, with one profound difference, and that is they're at where you were, and you're in a place now that they would love to be, but they're you were there. And you needed somebody that was there to say whatever it was to you to inspire you to go for it. What might you say to them that would raise the probability that would happen for them as well?
You have to look in the mirror, and usually that's where the answers are. It's not in other people. It's so easy to blame other people. Britta once told me that this was when we first met, that the reason the RTS in my salon was low was because my RTS was low. And that was rough to hear. That was really difficult to hear. And it was the beginning of me taking responsibility for everything that happened in the salon. Was pretty much, I was probably the beginning of it. And I had to really be honest with myself about that.
That's profound, Sharon. It's like we are a reflection. As the leader, so be the staff. So if we see something in the staff that's missing, it takes extraordinary courage, humility to stand, in the mirror and say, okay, what's my part in this? And then correct it, which you have done.
And the other thing I need to add is gratitude is huge. I thank my customers when they leave personally, and I thank my staff for coming in every day that they leave. I don't know if they realize it that I do, but I always, when they say, I say goodbye, thank you. I think that that's a very powerful word, and it's not said enough.
All right, I want to pivot to the tutorial part of the conversation, and I absolutely love how you are. I would consider you a pioneer in virtual consultation using FaceTime platforms to, and it's almost like a pre-consultation. I know you found a special niche called corrective color. You're finding a place to using FaceTime in that to kind of control it. You're getting some results. So in a nutshell, give us a mini class on what that is to you and how it's driving your business.
Well, first, when we're contacted through Instagram or Facebook or email through our website, we respond as quickly as we can. And then we invite the guest for a complimentary consultation. Many times they cannot come to the salon physically. It's just too hard with busy schedules. So then we offer, please send us some photos. Once the photos come over email, we take a look at them and then invite them for a FaceTime consultation. We will not take appointments in our salon for new hair color guests without a consultation. We've been burned too many times. And so due to the work that we do and the amount of time it takes, it has to be this way. People drive over an hour or two to come to our salon company to get their hair color corrected. So if we're going to do that, we have to know what we're getting into. We have to know if their hair can even handle it.
So what I hear you saying is that as people inquire and want to book, if they're new first time, you require first and foremost a consultation so you can control that whole potential of mess. And then X amount of those consultations are not traditional real-time eye-to-eye consultation where, because they have to drive a distance, you'll do a virtual consultation using FaceTime as your platform.
Yes, very effective.
What's that been like? First of all, what's your experience when you're doing a consultation using, it's virtual, using Face, and what do your guests, what's their experience? Because that is unprecedented new.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, Michael, I'm really surprised to hear it. 9 times out of 10, a guest will say to me, I've never had a consultation. Never. Not even in a salon. They have an appointment, walk in, talk for 5 minutes, and boom, they're slapping color on the head. And that's why most of the time it's a mess, because there's not enough time to even explain or look at the what's in the hair. So our guests are so impressed by our attention to this detail, and they're really grateful.
So you're saying just the idea that we are going to have a consultation before we do anything, and the overwhelming majority of the time, because you've branded yourself as almost a corrective color, a clinic of corrective color. So you're having that consultation before, and you're saying that in and of itself is new for a new experience, whether it's in real time or if it's virtual. Yes.
Yes. And then every day.
What I think the viewer would be curious to is how is the virtual consultation, because no one's done it before. You're like one of the first in it. What's been your experience? Is it any different than when it's in real time and eye to eye? And what would your guest have to say about that as well?
I mean, I think that it might take a few more minutes just because we are not eye to eye and live. It takes a few minutes, I think, for the guests to kind of register in their head what they're talking about with us. We're asking them to hold their hair out. We're asking them to run their hands through their hair. We're asking them to do things so we can kind of see the quality of their hair without physically live touching it. But they become very excited. We do require a deposit to make an appointment in our company. And they're fine with that. They're happy to do that.
So
They
that's
don't care.
key, so that if in a virtual consultation, you and the guest arrive at a place that you both agree that you're going to do that, now it's appointment making time, but to guarantee the appointment, you're requiring a deposit, and that pretty much eliminates the burn factor, the no-show factor.
Yes, it really does. Yes.
And then, so if you, Sharon, let's say, I'm just going to pick a number. If you did 10 virtual consultations, how many of those virtual consultations does the potential guest say, all right, I'm in, I want to book, here's my credit card? So if you did 10 of them, how many would actually like do the deal?
Nine.
Oh
Nine
my
of them.
goodness. So
Yeah,
9 out
for
of
sure.
10 of your virtual consultations are flipping into corrective color, and then the average ticket for that would be, out of the 9, what are we talking? 175?
Yeah, new talent could be 300. For me, 500, 600, depending on how many hours I spend on it.
Wow. And so as you're doing this, do you schedule them just like you would schedule a real-time consultation? So you mark that out in your book, and then
Yes.
you pull out your mobile device, you FaceTime them, and then does that happen at your station? Does it happen in your office? Where does the actual consultation happen when it's virtual for you?
Yeah, we usually schedule them at the end of the day when we're closing, just because it's quiet in the salon and I have time to sit down and talk and I won't be interrupted. And that's a great time for most guests, potential guests, because they put their children to bed, they're winding down for the evening. So most people are available at 9 or 9:30 at night to
I
have
love it. And then a typical consultation in terms of a window of time, are we talking 5 minutes, 10, 15? What would a typical go?
I would say it's 15 minutes is average. 20 minutes is getting long.
Right.
More than 30, it's probably not going to work out.
Right. And when you're saying I'm booking 9 out of 10, and that ticket can range from 200 all the way up to a few hundred, boy, that's a leverage consultation.
Yeah.
So this is exciting stuff, Sharon. I know that because you've been doing it, sometimes you kind of just you kind of take it for granted, and then a guy like me comes into your life, and I'm going, oh my God, this is new, it's innovative, and I think while it's not a trend yet, I think you're on the very front end of initiating something. But I would predict it's in the process of trending, and very, very soon it's going to be the new normal in salons that aren't doing it and going through the learning curve, the trial and error, are going to be seen as less relevant. Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah, women don't have time. They just don't have time to come in for 15-minute consultations. They're working late. They're getting the kids from school. They got to make dinner. Johnny's got a baseball game. They don't have time to come in and talk to me. And so when we offer FaceTime consultations, it's a big relief for me and them.
Well, before I let you go, first of all, this is an extraordinary. This interview, by the way, is historical. Now, I've got your salon's Instagram page up, and you made a comment to me. I'm going to just hold it up so that the viewer can see that this is the salon's Instagram page, but you, Sharon, this is your page as well as the salon, so that you're continuously loading up content, new and fresh content on this page, and it's an amazing, the work. I mean, I'm looking at 15 pieces of work here, and those are all $200-300 tickets. And then your highlight library, it looks like you feature your team, Julie's work, Danielle's work, Krista's work. How is this working for you? Because it's extraordinary.
Well, it's wonderful because every time I post, we have Show Your Work Sunday, so I collect all the work from the week. And then when I post it, I always put their Instagram handle under their photo so that the potential guests can just hit their Instagram handle and go to their Instagram and look at all their work. So I promote my staff. Everybody gets promoted every week. And if I can't find content for them, I dig back into the archives of things that might have never made it on Instagram or Facebook.
I love it. All right, we're out of time, but you have to promise me you will
Yes.
come back to do an encore, because I can count on probably 3 or 4 fingers the number of people like yourself that are really true innovators. They're innovating a new process called, virtual consultations, FaceTime consultations. It's the consultation before the booking, and you've got it figured out. I mean, you're blowing up my board. I've got some people saying that it's brilliant that you would require a credit card to guarantee the appointment before you make it. And basically, a virtual consultation, I'm sure there's some selling there. There's bonding going on. There's trust building. So I think it's as much of a marketing and branding strategy as it is kind of finding out what a guest has on their mind to make sure that we're preventing any confusion before they come in.
Correct.
Well, listen, I'm running over, and I never run over, but this was worth the run over. So I want to thank you. This was I would consider it a best yet tutorial. So thank you very much, Sharon, and we're going to have you back and let you get back to your evening, and I'll be in touch.
Thank you. Ciao.
Give it up one more time for Sharon Bondar. Where you at? All right. Excellent, excellent, excellent. You guys, that was nothing short of fabulous. You guys, it was like, if you were following it, this was the very first time I think that we had. I'm trying to pull up my PowerPoint so that we can. There we go. So that we can talk about this FaceTime virtual consultation. It's new. I think Sharon is, if you look at the diffusion of innovation, she is one of a few people that are innovating it. She didn't necessarily create it, but she's creating ways of using that. Basically, we're using the internet to make a boatload of money. So it's really rainmaking, and I see it. I'm going to be the first to say I'm going to predict that FaceTime corrective consultations are going to be, it's not trending yet, but I'm going to set my watch as to when it's going to go from being unprecedented to trend. And I would also bet that within the next 365-day window of time, it's going to be the new normal. And if you're not doing the new normal, you're going to be made to look less relevant. I'm being graceful here by other people that are. So you're going to want to get in this conversation right now. FaceTime corrective consultations, digital consultations, virtual consultations. We are moving into the digital era at the speed of light, at like Mach 5 to the 10th power. So get into it. And again, let's give it up to Sharon just one more time. I think she did a wonderful job. You are watching Michael Cole Summit. This is becoming the almost like the social media learning channel for people that are in the salon. This was a historical interview. I hope that you watch it. Again, you can also, that same handle, find us on Instagram. And now on Instagram, we're using IGTV. If you hit that on my page, Michael Cole Summit page, this conversation went 20 minutes. We will cook it down to about a 3 to 4 minute micro learning, and you can watch that on IGTV as well. Hang out on our website, summitsalon.com. There are just we've got a new tool called the Social Digital Script Guide, the Social Digital Planner. It's all about digital marketing and branding. That is the new mantra. Those are the watchwords. And if you're not in that conversation, I'm predicting you're going to be out of business in the next 36 to 48 months. So I would be living on this.com. I would be staying very, very close to that literature, because it is what it is. We have a Netflix, if you will, now at Summit. It's called Summit Salon 365.com. It's where all of our video content now that's been curated and edited on there for a nominal fee. You can get on there and watch it 24/7, 365. That's where the name came from. I would also, if you're not involved in our online training, call our 800 number, get a free consultation to show you where we are now training, coaching, mentoring people online, and you're going to want to get that as well. On our .coms now, we have digital calculators. so that our algorithms and our math formulas are such, you key in how much money you want to take home a year, and it breaks it down to a day service goal and a day retail goal. I hope you heard that. You should be taking advantage of that, as well as our mobile trackers. So it was a great evening. We always like to thank our sponsor, L'Oreal Professional, and their brands. Please support their brands, because their sponsorship allows us to bring this kind of education to you, and frankly, it's priceless. So their brands are Redken, Purology, Pulp, Riot, Baxter, Matrix, Biolage, Kerastase, Shoe, L'Oreal Professional, Mazzani. They're all of the brands. When you support them, we have fuel to support you in your education. Great show. We're going to be up for another one on Thursday night, a couple nights from now. So please, 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 keep close to us, and we will continue to blow it up.